of all, I did not know what I was going to.
Go up. No, just hold it vertically, you know.
He didn't say there were going to be this many people. I was getting to. Wow, this, like he said, there were seeds planted a long time ago. So Cecilia, who's not here, I'm sure you'll meet her one day. About almost 2 years ago, God had laid on her heart the country of Sierra Leone. And we started raising money and there's an orphanage there. Anyway, so her heart, and she started sharing this with the people in our business, which is Arbonne. So then a year ago, I'm trying to make a lot of sense here, not doing too much information that doesn't pertain, but about a year ago, I got the privilege of seeing Bruce Wilkinson speak in Kansas City, which is Missouri, in the middle of the United States. And Kathy Almquist was there. And if you don't know who Bruce Wilkinson is, he's an amazing author that has a heart for Africa. He's amazing. He wrote The Prayer of Jabez, The Dream Giver, and he was talking about dreams and how he had to live the big dream, believe the big dream, and he had to, he was like, your big dream's over here, because he's talking to people about that we have these big dreams, and then we compromise and we give in for the little dream. And he said, so our big dream's way over there, but we're like, oh, I'll be okay with the little dream right here, so I'm not going to push myself, because he was talking to us about that it's not about us. At this conference about how to build your business, he's talking about Africa. I'd say, don't you think, Kathy, every example was about Africa. So I get in the car after this conference, and we have been talking about this. In our group, we've been talking about a retreat that we were going to have in January of this year, 2009. And I called Cecilia, she wasn't there, and I left her this message. I took up her whole time on her machine, or whatever it is, her voicemail. I said, we have to have Bruce Wilkinson in our retreat. He has to be there. All he did was talk about Africa. And she's like, I had no idea he was into Africa. Anyway. So what happened was we contacted Bruce Wilkinson to see if we could afford to have him come. And we didn't have the money. It wasn't in our budget. And so there was a little bit of miscommunication, and his assist, anyway, but it was a miracle. What happened was she had just gotten back from her first trip to Sierra Leone last October, and I got an email from his assistant that said, Bruce wants to know if he's going to be coming to your VP retreat. And I was kind of like, well, we already decided that he wasn't going to come because we couldn't afford it. So I forwarded her the email and said, what should we do? Do you want me to contact her? And she said, oh, I'll take care of it. So she contacts his assistant and said, I think there's miscommunication. And then come to find out, Bruce said to Cecilia, I can't get your retreat off my mind. I'm supposed to come and share a message. Wow. God's calling me to share a message. And if you ever have the opportunity to see Bruce Wilkinson, he'll be like walking around, he'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And then he'll say, I need to say this. And you're like, oh my gosh. It's the most amazing thing in the world. He must have a direct line to God. It's just awesome. And not that we all don't, but it's really weird to see it. So she sent me this email saying he's coming. It was a miracle the way it all worked out. And he came, he had something totally planned, and then scrapped it because he knew that it wasn't what we were supposed to hear. And what what happened that day in our retreat, I know this is a really long story, I have a hard time making it short, but what happened is that he had said to Cecilia on Friday night when he had met with her, you know, don't you think it would be great for people to go with you to Africa? You know, for a lot of women here. There were 500 women at this retreat. And she's like, oh yeah, it would be great. And he said, well, you know, like how many? She said, oh, like 25. She's thinking like in 5 years, 10 years, it'd be great for people to go with her to Africa because it would change our company and be life-changing. And so the next morning, she didn't know who was going to do this. He asked her again in front of everyone, and she's thinking, because in the United States of America, we're having this recession that's kind of negative, and she's like, no one's going to be able to look for her to go. I can't believe he's doing this. This is going to be really embarrassing. No one's going to get up and say they want to go. And he said, if you feel that he asked her the question again, how many people would you like to have go with you? She said 25. He said, if you feel called to go to Africa with Cecilia this summer, he said, this isn't a safari, this isn't, you know, this is a mission trip. If you feel called, please come up on the stage. And there were 25 women that got out of their seat and got up on that stage. And you guys, it was the weirdest thing. I'm one of those people, I'm like, oh, if Kathy's gonna go, I'll go, you know, like, you know, if your friend's going. And you couldn't have kept me in my seat. Every woman that's here, you couldn't have kept them in their seat. I sat down that day and I thought after we got up on stage, it wasn't until I saw the picture of who was on stage did I know who was going. Because it was a very amazing moment. But I sat down that day and I'm like, Africa, I don't want to get the shots. I hate flying. You know, it was obviously not me, it was God that decided that. And it was just such an amazing, it was amazing. And so, you know, now I know that this is just the beginning for women in our company, men in our company. I know it's just the beginning, and Cecilia, I hope you meet her one day. She's an amazing leader and visionary, but the seeds were planted a long time ago. And we're just also thankful to be here. And Pastor, this morning, that was awesome. And for me, I just know that I probably don't just have one Isaac, I probably have a lot. And I'm changed already, and we haven't started. So thank you guys, and thanks for all the art.
So, in January, one of the most published, famous authors in all of Christianity stands on stage and says, who's going to Africa with Cecilia? 25 of you all. Come on, get out of your seat right now. Zambian men and women, there are ladies here today who the Spirit of God descended upon. They had gone to a conference to learn about business skills and marketing techniques. They didn't know they'd end up in Zambia, amen? God is doing something. Let me have a couple more. Who's going to come next?